Hi, Isabel. Are you ready to go and eat?
Yes, hurry up and let's go before we're late.
Can you pass me some water, please? It's very hot today.
Here you go.
Thank you. Are you going to the meeting tomorrow?
Sure. What do you think they're going to talk about?
Well, they say it's about equality between men and women, but I'm not sure.
Hi, you two. You look like you're ready to rest. Phew. Oh, it is so hot today.
Oh, Raul, don't make me laugh. Rest? What are you talking about? My old man is sick and I'm getting out of here quickly to see if Louis did his homework. I have to be on top of everything. Resting is the last thing on my mind. Besides, Antonio is away transporting goods for his job. You know he works a lot because we're paying for a new house and we rarely see him around here.
Good joke, Raul. I'm going to take care of my little girl who is more awake at night because she wants to play with me.
Phew. I'm going home to rest and watch the soccer match. My wife is the one who takes care of the children and who has dinner ready when I arrive. It seems that you are just starting the day. Okay, anyway, get some rest because tomorrow we have to work.
Goodbye, Raul.
Goodbye, Raul. You know, Maria, I hope that will be the topic of tomorrow's talk at the farm. Equality between men and women is much more than feeling that you fit in at work. When you are doing well at work, with good conditions and motivated, you go home to take care of your family.
Think about it, Isabel. Thank goodness I have my mother to help me take care of my baby while I go to work. Imagine what I would be doing alone and without a place in preschool. Well, your Antonio's away a lot, but he brings money to pay for the new home, and you take care of everything when he's not there.
Look, Maria, you and I work twice as hard as many of our male colleagues. We come to work, we keep the work schedule, and now we go home to continue working for those we love the most. Cooking food, helping the children with their homework, and cleaning the house because we're always cleaning, making sure things are organized.
What about when someone gets sick or the neighbor needs help taking care of her children while she goes for a doctor's appointment? There is really no time to study or to learn new things. I am already tired as it is.
Speaking of which, I'm leaving. My old man is waiting for me to give him his medicine. See you tomorrow. And whatever it is, get some rest.
Welcome to Cultivating Equality, Stories of Women and Men, an audio learning program funded by Fyffes. Cultivating Equality was developed to raise awareness and promote understanding of gender equality in the company's operation, including both staff and suppliers. Each chapter will be an opportunity to learn about gender equality and business. As we move along, you will discover the opportunities that arise when we cultivate equality. Prepare to learn and grow together in our audio learning program. We defined 8 key definitions on gender equality: sex, gender, sexual division of labor, prejudices, stereotypes, and gender bias, discrimination, and gender equality. In this chapter, we're going to understand how gender equality fits in within Fyffes. For this conversation, let me introduce Julie Courmoyer, Fyffes Global Sustainability Director. Julie, welcome to this audio learning program, Cultivating Equality, Stories of Women and Men.
Thank you, Carolina, for the invitation. I'm very excited to be part of this program.
Thank you, and let's start this conversation by clarifying the difference between equality and equity. Two terms that are often used as synonyms, but they really mean different things. In both cases, we're referring to the treatment that people receive. Equality is when individuals have the same resources and opportunities to enjoy human rights, while equity points to justice and ethics. In other words, to make it simple, equity is an ethical principle
that takes into account social injustices and seeks to create equal opportunities for disadvantaged people, groups, or communities. For example, women, Afro descendants, indigenous groups, people with disabilities, or members of the LGBTIQ plus community. So here the objective is to really integrate all humans with all of their differences into society and give them access to the advantages, opportunities, and benefits that other groups have. So equity is really a means to promote equality.
For example, the mayor of a city would like to increase the number of adults who use bicycle to improve mobility, reduce pollution, and improve health of citizens. A budget is allocated to buy 1,000 bicycles. For some citizen, the only thing or the only need is to own a bicycle and start adopting the habit of riding it. So the mayor's decision worked well for them. But for the other citizen, having a bicycle was not enough because they lived in neighborhood that did not have paved road, were unsafe. Others didn't know how to ride a bike, and others had reduced mobility. So for this group of people, the mayor initiative wasn't enough. This initiative fits into equality because everyone was given the same thing, a bicycle. It did not consider the differences of the inhabitant in order to improve their mobility and improve their health. For the initiative to be equitable, other considerations need to be recognized and thought through. Improve road quality, ensure the road and human safety throughout the city, provide bicycle adapted to people with disability, assess the different needs of men and women at different ages, or transform the idea that bicycle are only a sport and not a way to move around the city.
Thank you, Julie, for this example. Now, could you please tell us how gender equality fits into Five's business and strategy?
Our end goal is to make positive difference for our growers, our people, our customer, and the environment. Gender is important because of a few things. First, it's a salient human right risk. In general, the production and trade of agricultural commodities such as coffee, banana, melons have not benefited women and men equally. Despite being a major employment creator, there are five major gender gap in agriculture that works against women to men's benefit. Access to land tenure, participating in training and technical support, access to financial services, participating in producer and investor group or the management of cooperative. Fives invites and encourages the active participation of women in spaces that are normally dominated by men. Initiatives such as our corn and food security project in Honduras or the banana school in Ecuador, where women are trained in agricultural technical skills, enable more opportunity for all. Maintaining a reputation for excellence requires respect for the highest standard of conduct, and we cannot be consistent with our principle if we do not work for gender equality.
Thank you, Julie. Precisely, this chapter begins with a conversation between Isabel, Maria, and Raul. They all work on the same farm and have the same position, the same post, the same job, right? But the two women have a much greater burden of care than Raul.
That is precisely another inequality that affects women as they have more family responsibilities and spend more time than men taking care of their children, partners, and sometimes even their parents, in addition to household chores. Despite the work they do, women participate less in family decision making. Notice that Isabel and Maria have a double workday, the one at the company that has a defined schedule and is paid, and the one at home and is unpaid. This limits women's ability to enjoy their rights, access formal job and higher position, and to be economically and physically independent. Here we have a link between gender equality and occupational health and safety. Companies need to adopt practices to promote physical and mental health and wellness in their supply chain. Gender equality is a human right. That is why we have trained and educated our employee on the protection and respect of human rights, as well as our anti-harassment and gender-based violence policies. Going back to the story at the beginning, Carolina, What could the people listening to us do to recognize, reduce, and redistribute unpaid domestic responsibility between women and men?
That is such a spot on question, Julie, because let me propose this activity to make this easier. So basically, this can be done in every single household with the adults and the children that are over 8 years of age. The task or the goal at hand is to make a list of all of the care activities that are performed daily and that are really central to the functioning of the household. So, for example, washing clothes, walking the dog, shopping for groceries and toiletries, paying the utilities, rent, or the mortgage, cooking, serving food and cleaning, caring for babies, toddlers, children, teenagers, or disabled, or even volunteer activities. So, first thing, or the first invitation is to make a list of these things. And then each person calculates the number of hours per week spent on each activity. Then all of the hours are added up, and this exercise will allow you, I mean, you as a family, and each person that is a member of the family to clearly see the amount of time he or she spends and to make a comparison with other family members and thus negotiate a more equitable task distribution. This would also depend on what makes sense for families and what really works for them.
And Carolina, could girls and boys contribute to the household and share this responsibility?
Of course, both boys and girls can really contribute to household chores according to their age and benefit from it, because at the end, this supports the development of autonomy and discipline. It is most important to ensure that the assignment of the chores is gender neutral and that it does not disrupt with school and physical well being. That is, home chores should simply be an activity that any child can do and should not be assigned according to traditional gender roles. So, for example, the Montessori method states that children between the 2 and 3 years of age, they can put away their own toys, water the plants, take dirty clothes to the hamper, or even throw things in the trash like their used diaper. When they're about 4 or 5, then they can tidy up their own room, make their own bed. It won't be perfect, but that's not the point. The point is to build up the habit of making the bed, right? They can put the cutlery into the cutlery tray, fold laundry. When they're a bit older, from 6 to 9, then they can make their bed properly. They can prepare their backpacks for school and prepare simple dishes in the kitchen, such as salads, sandwiches, or cereal with milk. By the age of 10 or 11, they can clean their own room and bathroom thoroughly and do simple sewing and taking care of pets. And then from the age of 12 onwards, they can iron clothes, paint walls, make simple repairs around the house, even take the garbage out and help with household shopping.
This reminds me of a phrase you said in previous chapter. The members of a household do not help doing the chores. Family member of any age are co-responsible for having a clean, healthy, and functional house. I take this opportunity to invite all of us, and I include myself, to do this exercise to realize how we are dividing the task and the most important thing when this is the case to make the appropriate changes so that everything is more balanced and fair.
Yes, cheers to you and to everyone. Now, before we focus on the topic of unpaid care work in our homes, you mentioned the importance of respect for diversity and equal opportunity at Fives. What do you mean by that?
We talk about gender equality because the ideas and expectation that we have about how we should be end up creating discrimination between men and women. For example, how to get and keep a job, receive the same salary for the same or similar work, having equal opportunity for promotion to more senior position where decisions are really made and the pay is higher, to achieve a balance between work, personal life, and family life. The gender division of labor that society has created influences the way we operate within companies. Diversity is having a workforce with many characteristics, and inclusion is having every employee respected, valued, and able to make an effective contribution at work. We need to understand that recognizing and promoting diversity is a human rights issue. And human rights apply to everyone, regardless of whether you are a woman or a man, or whether you are straight, gay, bisexual, transgender, or queer. It is an issue of human beings. No employee should ever be afraid or ashamed to come to work. Discrimination and violence in any form is contrary to respect and inclusion. In line with this policy, the company provides training, such as this audio learning program that supports the understanding and implementation of the FICE principle.
So the goals set by Fyffes are part of making this policy come alive?
Yes, absolutely. Although there are diversity other than gender, the company decided to focus on this issue as a result of a human rights impact assessment we did a few years ago. It makes sense for Five that all our personnel, that is 100% of our worker in our own farm in Latin America, should be trained by next year, 2025, and that we create awareness in 50% of our supplier by 2030. We're going to accomplish this goal with this audio learning, Cultivating Equality, Stories of Women and Men. That's why we are so motivated by this chapter. In addition to this awareness and training goal, Five is also committed to eradicating the wage gap in its own operation by 2030.
Can you please tell me what does the pay gap mean and why is it so important for Fives?
Of course, Carolina, the wage gap in a company shows the difference between the salary a man receive and the salary a woman receive for performing the same or similar labor. This year, the company is making this calculation and will continue to work towards the goal.
At the end, the wage gap is a very frequent form of discrimination in the workplace, right? Imagine that according to the International Labor Organization, ILO, the average wage gap, gender wage gap in the world is 23%. This basically means that women earn 23% less than men. Or, in other words, for every US dollar that a man earns, women receive only 77 cents. Yes, you've heard me right. 77 cents for doing work that is the same or similar, or which, although different, really generates the same value.
And why does the wage gap occur in the first place?
So this is a phenomenon. This is something that happens and is caused by a combination of factors. For example, the choice of the occupation or the career, right? Which are strongly influenced by family responsibilities and gender roles. The story at the beginning of this chapter clearly shows us the double workday for women due to the caregiving role that we have assigned to them. By taking on a large chunk of family and domestic tasks, women may be forced to reduce their working hours and accept more informal, part time, or lower paying jobs. And this in turn reduces their income and the possibility of promotion. Also, the burden of care may become so great that some women must withdraw altogether from work because they have no one else to leave their younger children to care for them, the disabled family members, or even the elder relatives. For women, childbirth requires breaks from work, and this increases the likelihood of earning less in comparison to women that don't have children and to men. While men also take breaks from work, the cost is lower than for women. This is where inequality can be clearly seen. Motherhood is really penalized while fatherhood is rewarded.
So men end up with more high paying, high level, and supervisory position, while women are concentrated in lower paying, lower ranking, with little decision making power.
So, this is why guaranteeing equal pay is so strategic, not only from an ethical perspective or from equity and justice point of view, or even in terms of the company's competitiveness, or even as part of a national development, but to really promote development in the communities where the companies operate. Equal pay immediately increases women's economic independence, and this improves their decision making position within their household and in the community. It also improves the well being of families, as additional resources are often invested by women in improving health services for children and the elderly. In the medium term, higher income reduces the risk of women and their families remaining or falling back into poverty, decreasing the likelihood of resorting to child or forced labor. And in the future, it really ensures an adequate standard of living for women after retirement.
And that is the goal, to eradicate the wage gap and empower women so they can go out and get their families ahead.
With this conversation, Julie, it really shows us the power of the two targets and the goals of Fyffes in terms of gender equality, because it has an impact within the staff, within the personnel, but also with the community and other stakeholders. Thank you for joining us in this chapter that has allowed us to learn a bit more about how Fyffes is advancing with gender equality.
Thanks to you, Carolina.
So we've come to the end of our third chapter of Cultivating Equality, Stories of Women and Men. I want to summarize the 4 key terms we explored today. Diversity, accepting and valuing the difference of each worker. Equity, treating people according to their specific circumstance. Actually, equity is the means to the end, which is equality. Inclusion, when everyone is respected, valued, and has equal opportunities to contribute. And equality, treating all people in the same exact way. We also understood the reasons that led Fyffes to focus on 2 specific gender equality issues. The first one is to raise awareness and train all of its staff and suppliers. And the second one is to close the gender pay gap in the operations that are led directly by Fyffes. We also explored the relationship between the assignment of gender roles and occupations and how this had repercussions on women's and men's salaries. I encourage you to do the exercise to identify the contribution that each family member makes in your house. Take this chance to create more balance and more harmony. Please do not forget it. And as usual, I'm going to leave you with this quote, in this case by the former American president, John F. Kennedy, which has a lot to do with gender equality. And it says, "I do not say that everyone is equal in their ability, character, or motivations, but I do assert that they should be equal in the opportunity to develop their own character, motivations, and skills." It is clear then that equal opportunity, treatment, and participation between women and men is not so we can be all the same, but so we can all explore our differences and choose what we really want to be and how we want to live, and that we can do so on equal terms.
Thank you to each and every one of you who is listening. Infinite thanks for your time. Infinite thanks for your attention. And see you in the next chapter, where we will continue to cultivate gender equality.